This guy who's criticized me, Councilman Joe Borelli, for giving breaking news on the next location that Eric Adams is dumping the illegal aliens by the busload, was actually there when they did a coronation, we'll call it, of Wu-Tang Way. Right there outside the projects there, Tarjay. Right there, pass it all the time. It's like, what the hell is this? These degenerate guys talk about smoking blunt, smoking weed. This city's become weed city. Death, destruction, guns, and you want to honor them, right? You think that's the best of what Staten Island has created? Man, I'm telling you, these folks. Can I have the breaking news cycle, please? Yeah.
Breaking news, WABC.
So as I spoke to all of you at 9:40 this morning with Sid Rosenberg, was breaking this news and was so rudely interrupted by Sid Rosenberg, not because he wanted to, but because the butt boy for this guy, Tony Argento, owner and operator of what is a business that is operating in Staten Island. They own 3 million square feet throughout New York City. And it's the place where a lot of people go to do their filmings on a regular basis. It's Broadway stages. This guy started out in 1983, Broadway Street, Astoria, first sound stage. Became partners with his sister. I'll tell you that story later on. What a ruse that was. Gina Argento, half owner of the business. And they own 3 million square feet throughout New York City, in Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island. That's not being used for filming. Why? TV or film production? Because there's a writer's strike. And these other unions, they honor the strike line. They're not crossing the lines. So yesterday, I told you the story that was confirmed by City Hall. I broke it here on this very show, 12 to 1. That's why you got to listen Monday through Fridays. That the film industry in New York City is now working with the Eric Adams administration, sending location scouts to look for spaces for the migrants. And that they were doing this voluntarily. I said, okay, what does Fabian Levy say, spokesperson for the Eric Adams administration? And when our Crackerjack news team with the Crackerjack Prize reached out to them about that, Fabian Levy said, yeah, they are. But they're doing it voluntarily. And I said, no. Somebody's paying them. Obviously, the film companies, the TV companies, they get millions of dollars in tax credits to stay here and not to go film in Toronto or Vancouver, British Columbia, or Atlanta or Nashville or Charlotte. So I get it. You scratch my belly, I scratch yours. So we have these location scouts that are looking for spaces for the illegal aliens. And then, all of a sudden, boom, my phone blew up. 3 different reports that, in fact, the owners and operators of what was the old Arthur Kills prison out in Staten Island, which had been opened until 2011, a state facility, was closed by Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo and then was purchased by Broadway Stages. And they've been doing filming and other production work for quite some time. So a state-owned facility, no longer owned by the state, privately owned by Broadway Stages. And that is the company owned and operated by Tony Argento and his sister, Gina Argento. And just to let you know what exists at the Arthur Kills Correctional Facility, now empty, it actually has everything that you would need to house the illegals. You know, our own John Catsimatidis said, why not use the closed portion of Rikers Island? Good idea. The mayor talked about it as possibility. This is a much better facility. Let me explain why. It's not as broken down. It's not as in disrepair as the closed sections of Rikers Island. In fact, they even advertise this Broadway Stages that the prison consists of more than 24 buildings and structures, including guard towers, admissions and visitor buildings, inmate housing, a gymnasium, infirmary, recreation yard, warehouse, everything. Everything that you would need for the illegal aliens. So because Tony Argento does so much business with the city and with the film companies and the TV companies, he was going to voluntarily allow this space be used because they're not using it now. They can't. There's a strike in effect until the strike was over. Doing a favor for Eric Adams, who is all jammed up. Obviously, he's gotten us into an absolute disastrous position. He doesn't know how to get us out of here. Now, remember the history of the correctional facility at Arthur Kill. It's right where the Arthur Kill is, separating Staten Island from New Jersey. It was advocated for by Ed Koch years ago. Lamberti was the borough president, Democrat, on behalf of Mario Faccia Brutta Cuomo. Guy Lamberti was sitting in the House of Representatives, senior member. He left the House to come back to run for borough president of Staten Island to stop the prison. It became a huge issue. Unfortunately, they were not able to stop it, but Andrew Cuomo did close it in 2011. So it's not state property. It's private property now. It's owned by Broadway Stages. And because he wants to continue to curry favor with the Eric Adams administration that gives them gazillions of tax credits in order to do these films and TV productions, it's a quid pro quo. You scratch my belly, I scratch yours. So I announced it this morning, as I had originally announced, that Eric Adams was negotiating with Norwegian Cruise Line to bring a cruise line into Stapleton, which used to be the former U.S. Navy base. And I warned Staten Islanders, no, 1,000 times no, don't let that happen. Once they're there for 30 days, they're considered residents. You can't get rid of them. Can't get rid of them. They're resident status. I don't care. Illegals, whatever, migrants, can't get rid of them. Okay, thankfully, I preemptively announced that. Everybody organized right behind Congressman Nicole Malliotakis to say 1,000 times no. But it turned out that the traitor, il traditore, the guy who had negotiated with Eric Adams' administration, was the minority leader of the Republicans in City Council, Joe Borelli, who thought that was a great idea. Better to have the illegal aliens in the Norwegian cruise line there, as opposed to having them in tents in parks in the North Shore, Mid-Island, or, God forbid, the South Shore out near Tottenville. I called him out on that. Earlier today, when he was texting Sid at the command of Tony Argento, he says, "But boy, no, that's not true. It's not happening. I just talked to Tony. Big Tony told me it ain't happening." What the hell is this? What do you mean, Big Tony? You take your orders from Big Tony, Joe? I know there are a lot of mobsters choking on their lobsters in the South Shore, but come on, man. What you do is you do what Ronald Reagan said. Trust but verify. Or what Curtis Sliwa does with the team of Sliwa and Sliwa, that's Nancy Sliwa, verify, then trust. Verify, then trust, which you didn't do. You took his word. They're going to roll in buses. If you don't get up in arms out in Staten Island, I don't care where you live. For years, they dumped garbage on you in Fresh Kills. For years, they've dumped other things onto you. You were the forgotten island. Some people called you Satan Island. You think you have a friend in Eric Adams? You think you have a friend in Kathy Crime Wave Holcomb? Of course you don't. You voted for me for mayor. You voted for Congressman Zeldin for governor. We would have been better off if both of us were there. But then again, there's retribution. And here's a way, just overnight, this is what Eric Adams is doing. Overnight, he gives you 24-hour notice, and then boom, the buses roll in. There's not a damn thing you can do to get rid of them after that. So that's where that stands right now, as Joe Borelli ended up calling me the C word to Sid Rosenberg. By the way, Joe Borelli has been known to use the C word many times against the Congresswoman herself, Nicole Malliotakis, and before that, Leticia Romero, who used to be the chairwoman of the Republican Party on Staten Island. Hey, get rid of that word, okay? If you're going to call me the C word, Joe, C is for Curtis. Okay, I'm not a vagina, right? God, what is it with these people? I'm trying to help, and my own Republicans are attacking me. Because, you see, politicians are not there for the best interests of the people. They get wine-dined and pocket-lined Follow the money. What did I always say? Could I hear Eric Adams? What is Eric Adams, when he was first sworn into the state assembly, his first words from the bully pulpit to the press, to his family, friends, to the other legislators, to the lobbyists?
Show me the money. Show me the money. That's what it's all about.